For the umpteenth time in as many months, the pointed queries over Lilibet and Archie's very corporeal existences resurfaced with a piercing vengeance. Despite years of steadily birthing more and more bizarre intrigues surrounding their reclusive upbringings, the veil of suspicion shrouding the young royals' lives stretched to unsettling new lengths upon their mother's latest rebuff of demands to reunite them with the Windsor fold. Once again digging in her heels against intense pressure from the palace to finally bring her kids across the Atlantic for an overdue introduction, Meghan Markle issued a bristling statement declaring she would not so much as consider complying until achieving a host of stringent caveat demands. Chief among the Duchess's list of controversial prerequisites, a formal televised denouncement and apology from the Crown over its alleged character assassination campaign against her family. While hardline royal watchers scoffed at allowing a rogue former HRH currently in open insurrection against the firm to dictate terms of re-engagement, other seasoned commentators interpreted Markle's steadfast defiance as provocative fuel on simmering conspiracy theories. In the conspiratorial camps, Archie and Lilibet are rumored to be anything from fictitious PR stunts to legally adoptive, Truman Show, strangers the bitter Duchess periodically rents for staged photo ops before stashing them away from public scrutiny again. Let's be very clear in acknowledging that the curtain of suspicion regarding these two children's literal confirmation as biological mother-born issues is withering away into translucent tissue by the day, stated Dickie Arbiter, veteran Buckingham insider and longtime staffer under Queen Elizabeth II. While absence of evidence remains precisely that, Meghan's behavior in defiantly obstructing their socialization with the larger royal clan strains credulity to concerning lengths. For years now, ever since the vaguely glimpsed Archie emerged as an awkwardly smiling nascent toddler who bore striking full ginger similarities to his father Harry, ardent doubters have insisted the two Sussex children exist solely as broad archetypes open to endless identity fluidity when convenient. An ambiguously ethnic boy and girl with befitting red hair and mixed features are filtered through various rotating child actor bodies while their elusive parents keep their tangible realities, locations and intimate histories distressingly clandestine. Put most overtly, the explanation for why Meghan and Harry have now spent over 3 full years absconding their kids away from extended family, hiding them from public scrutiny and stonewalling every reasonable request or entreaty for reunification becomes impossible to ignore, Arbiter asserted. Either the Duchess wishes to withhold subjecting the psyches of two very real prepubescent royals to the palace machine and court of public opinion that left her own self-image in tatters, or their much more nefarious agenda is to maintain perpetual obfuscation because no actual biological children exist, only the idea of them. Across the transom, alleged first-person accounts added disquieting anecdotes to the orbit of chatter pondering whether anyone tangible answers to the names Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor. In a bombshell testimonial submission to Ghislaine deposition, the notorious high society Gore Substack, an anonymous Hollywood producer claimed to have directly witnessed Markle discussing renting a pint-sized redhead house player from a white-collar child talent stable to portray her invented prince progeny for a while. I was in the room at the Soho baby house in late spring 2021 when the meeting happened, the submission alleged. Meghan was in full Duchess drag being cagey about needing a new temporary Windsor novelty to throw off questions about Archie's lack of public sightings that year. The confessional then describes the deeply unsettling process of watching Markle orchestrate a cavalcade of mop-top gingers between the approximate ages of 2 to 4 that were paraded before her for mixing, matching and selection, their compensated parents having signed away their identities for transport to whichever faraway set locale their hire demanded. Other royal skeptics theorize a darker ulterior motive, that Meghan may indeed have carried and birthed a son and daughter after leaving the UK. But now self-obsessed and aggrieved over her treatment, the former Duchess actively keeps her very real progeny hostage and sequestered away from their monarchy relations as morbid vengeance for perceived slights real and imagined. It stands to reason that after being driven out by the passive-aggressive racist machinery that Meghan believes runs Buckingham Palace, she wouldn't entrust the emotional safety of any authentic heirs to that very system's cruel dynastic vortex, stated Omid Scobie, Markle's closest journalist confidant and author of the sympathetic bio Finding Freedom. Withholding their mother-entitled access until adequate justice has been rendered unfortunately remains her only functional leverage. No matter which corner of speculation one entertains regarding the actual personhoods of Lilibet and Archie Mountbatten Windsor, the sheer glut of conflicting accounts, anonymous allegations, and evidentiary voids proves impossible to reconcile into a cohesive truth. With every passing refusal by Meghan to grant the children FaceTime with the Windsors, the conspiracy theories only grow more layered, audacious, and divorced from plausible reality. At this point, I believe reasonable minds can conclude precisely none of us outside the Sussex sphere itself grasps anything concrete about these poor tykes' very corporeal fibre, lamented longtime Palace Communications advisor James Ressiter. How could we when the narratives have calved off into separate universes of disinformation and dueling agendas? In one exasperating example of the paradoxical madness, Markle was said to have highly orchestrated public quasi-sightings of both kids frolicking at her $14 million Montecito manor during breaks in the 2022 Invictus Games shooting schedule that year. Multiple tabloid-anointed Brethren photography sleuths claimed to have used visual giveaways such as visible striped knee socks and dimpled left cheeks on the playground redheads to definitively confirm they resembled the genuine Archie from the royal baby reveal. Meanwhile, a rival consortium of anti-Meghan Instagram watchdog channels simultaneously produced intensive YouTube reconstructions to prove that grainy amateur video footage from the same alleged playdates showed distinctly different anonymous child actors being swapped in to portray the junior Windsors in rapid costume changes and discreet sleight of hand between grab shots. Look at the nape of that lad's neck to his follicle patterns during the sandbox sequence. The cowlick and pigmentation have clearly been spray-tanned and dyed for continuity purposes, narrated the prolific Sugary Sussex Sleuths channel during a 90-minute deep dive into the 4-minute Montecito clip. Matched up with identical height and ear sculpts from the swing set after Jam? Not even close to passing as one continuous bass actor across scenes, this is just lazy acting pool misinformation from the Duchess's magic factory. Elsewhere, other online detectives purported to have hacked into databases unearthing legal records that assert the royal couple indeed carried out hush-hush adoptions for both broods using gilded surrogates, but sometimes rotate Appalachian and Romanian trafficking backgrounds into their false Frogmore heritage narratives as morbid thought experiments. For her part, Meghan has steadfastly stonewalled engaging about the true nature of her progeny, allowing an opportunistic cone of conspiratorial silence to proliferate on an industrial scale. Buckingham Palace has refused requests for DNA evidence to corroborate biological lineages, and even Prince Harry seemed flummoxed when drawn into the fray with a rare utterance muddying which of his irreparable rifts he considered most tragic. Of course I worry despairingly every night about one of my offspring feeling isolated, depressed and unseen. Harry said in a trademark word salad of grief therapy babbling. But then again, who really knows if it's Charlie's developmental struggles at Eton that keep me up, or Lily being so profoundly different in that Dorfman's underprivileged LA charter school system? As for whether or not Lilibet Diana and Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor materially exist as second and third heirs to the crown in any tangible form, the debate cycles endlessly without any conclusive accountability or transparency in sight. In the absence of proof, only more allegations and obfuscation pile up with little resolution. Markle family nemesis Samantha seems to lead the charge in suggesting Archie's birth never even happened, and both children were later conceived in a petri dish using surrogate implantation after a series of troubling miscarriages in secret. Simultaneously, the Duchess stands accused by Turkish interests of possibly darkly engineering a real son to pass off as a decoy foreign prince for nefarious historic reasons linked to her alleged Osmanoglu dynasty royal roots. And still others within the British aristocracy unofficially lament that, after all the drama, turmoil and tarnished legacies, either of the two most infamous kids in modern House of Windsor chronicles could quite simply never have been born at all, nor ever fated to actually exist past dangled carrots of PR red herring intrigue in the first place. We're 1,000 miles and several multiverse realities beyond the point of reasoned speculation over what's definitively factual anymore, an exasperated Lady Colin Campbell admitted recently, surrendering the entire narrative of contested prince and princesshood to the age of cannon-fueled madness. Does anyone choosing feverish cynicism and conspiracies actually require the Sussexes confirm or deny which exact flavor of delusional manifested from Meghan's restless womb at this stage? Or is that precisely the permanent state of damaging ambiguity she diabolically craves?